Awesome. Hey, Adventure Girls, it's Senka here, creator of Adventure Girls, and your lovely host for the Why She Adventures conversation series. And today I've got an epic lady with me who got actually introduced to me through the Adventure Girls Sisterhood Network. And when I found out what she does, so I went straight to the website, I looked at it, and I went, oh my God, this woman is amazing. So as you know, I love mountain biking, and our common thread of connection is the fact that she loves to mountain bike. But not only that, she is also launching an amazing brand and line that is exclusively dedicated to women's mountain biking. So I am lucky enough from Fierce MTB to have Laura on our interview today. So thanks for coming and joining me.
Hey, no worries. Excited.
Do you like that? I sung you in and I can't
Thanks.
sing. This is already going to be a great interview, I can tell. So I'm so excited. Bronwyn connected us up, and you actually live in the Christchurch area as well, which is super rad. And yeah, when I saw, like I said in the intro, when I saw your stuff, I was like, we have to talk. And then we connected through Messenger and stuff like that, all our conversations that were all around mental health and wellness and women's empowerment and mountain biking. I was like, yes, we must interview together, because I think there'll be some great conversations.
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking forward to it.
Brilliant. So what got you into mountain biking? Because I remember when I first started mountain biking, a friend took me out she's like, let's go to this place called Wood something. You can ride your bike there. Her boyfriend had taken her out, and I was like, oh, sure, sounds good. And then I went out and I pushed my bike around for probably about 2 of the 3 hours that we were out. But I came back with a smile from ear to ear. And let's just say that was nearly 20 years ago. And mountain biking has been the one consistent adventuring in my life. So
nice. Well, you've definitely got a few more years on me then, because I'm sat at about 2 years now. So still pretty newbie to it. But so a little bit like your friend, I was fortunate enough. It's actually my ex-boyfriend now who got me into mountain biking, which is obviously I'm from the UK, and this is a newly acquired skill or hobby, or I wouldn't say skill, since coming to New Zealand. And I got the baptism of fire. I didn't go, obviously didn't understand mountain biking, but this was something that is and still obviously really is a big part of this particular guy's life, and a really big part of sort of adventuring in New Zealand. And so eventually I allowed, after putting up a fight for some time, which is ridiculous, I allowed him to take me out on his spare bike. But this is a guy who, for anyone who's not over familiar with mountain biking, it's kind of a progression of trails from green to blue to black, or single black, double black. And so what happens when you tell a double black rider, to find something easy for a new beginner? They take you to the top of the Flying Nun in Christchurch, which is a blue trail. And I mean, this, obviously is going out to lots of people who might not be familiar with the Flying Nun, but let's just say, yeah, it is an intermediate blue trail. And there are some features on there which, for somebody whose only experience of riding a bike, is, I wouldn't even have been able to tell you 2 years ago the difference between a hardtail and a full sus and all the things. Was an interesting day out, let's just say that. But hey, I survived, and I did give it my best shot. Like, I love a challenge. I really, really do. And I, of course, new boyfriend-ish in the picture. I'm not going to be that girl who's like, oh, I can't do it, oh my God. So I was like, I am attacking these rocks. I am falling off. I am bruising oh my goodness me. So that's how I started. After a couple of weeks of Laura just falling off over and over and over again, and at one point having some beautiful like grazes on my face to boot, he sort of said, maybe we should go to Bottle Lake. which is kind of exactly where we should have started about 6 weeks prior. Yeah, it was fun. Let's say it's fun, and it's always continued to be fun. But yeah, I definitely jumped in at the deep end, which is kind of how I like to live my life. So that's how I got into mountain biking.
Holy shit, that's like the best story ever, because like you say, anybody who doesn't know Christchurch, with the mountain bike scene, Bottle Lake is like flat. I think the max elevation you get is like 9 meters out there. It's pretty much flat, wide trail, and if you were going to start mountain biking, that is the place you would go. And the Flying Nun is definitely a ballsy track. So I can't believe that he took you there, but I also can, because I'm going to grossly generalize here and say that's the thing, right? Like, I'll say that's one of the big differences when you're going out with women versus going out with a bunch of dudes and stuff like that, that it's like, if you go with a bunch of women, you're like, I'm a beginner, they will support, encourage, and start you out on something that you get a major win on, so that you're like, oh, I want to go back and do that again.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And we have some amazing, excuse me, amazing sort of girlfriends and girl groups who we go out and ride together. And we're always, I feel there's a lot of talk within these groups actually about, you know, oh, so long as you're okay to, you know, wait for me, I'm not the fastest, or oh, I don't know if I could do that. And the thing is, we're all thinking the same thing, which is generally we all want to progress or challenge ourselves. You know, obviously you have your days where you're like, I am sweet sticking at this level today, thank you very much. But we kind of often feel the need to like apologize for it, or I don't know if I can do that. There's a lot of I don't know if I can do that, and I think a lot of the time that comes from just seeing, and again, yes, generalizing, but a lot of the guys just going full tit, like, I don't care, I'm not going to think, it's absolutely fine, we just go for it, just send it. And it's like, you know, women actually have a like that whole fuck it switch. Like, don't get me wrong, it is there and it's brilliant, but it's also nice to have sort of a bit of a self-preservation filter at points, like, if I break my collarbone, I can't go and do my day job. That's probably an issue. Whereas for some guys, it's just like, right, it's fine. But yeah, women, part of the massive draw that's really got me hooked with mountain biking and blew me away from day one, once, you know, after the initial couple of rides, was the community. The community in mountain biking, guys, girls, young, old, whatever it is awesome. Welcomed from day one, and everybody is just, you know, with the there is always the odd exception, but as a rule, just everybody is there to help and wants you to succeed and wants you to grow and wants you to love it and loves it, you know, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so what kept, aside from potentially just wanting to impress your boyfriend with your new expertise of skills, what kept you going back to mountain biking, especially like when you described falling off and all of that? Like, let's get into some juicy stuff, because that's like the cool stuff. Like, you know, why'd you not just go, fuck this shit, I'm out of here, this is like way too hard, way too crazy? What kept you going back for more? Like, what was that pull?
Yeah. So I guess, I mean, like I said at the beginning, I like a challenge, and I also don't like to be beaten in that sense. Like, so the one thing that you get, and I've tried to explain this to people who perhaps don't mountain bike or aren't overly familiar with it, is that you can know a trail. Like, you can know a trail, so you think, inside out. It can be the same trail that you've ridden for weeks and months on end, but it's never the same. Like, there's always a difference. I mean, for me at the moment, obviously there's plenty of trails that I'm not riding and still to ride, but you can be, there's opportunity. I think what I'm trying to say is that there's endless scope for progression and endless scope to improve, and I am huge on growth and personal development. I mean, just, yeah, I think the word growth is like tattooed to my core. I'm always about trying to be a better version of myself, or to challenge myself, or to push myself, because I suppose in a way that I just want to see how far I can go. And it's not always been like that. And don't get me wrong, there's loads of stuff that goes in your head, and you get in your head, or, oh, what am I doing? And that can be about life, or that can be about on the bike. But yeah, with mountain biking, the thing that keeps me going back is, yeah, the endless opportunity for growth, the amazing people that can do it with, but also I finally found my exercise that doesn't feel like exercise. And I don't know how to explain this other than the fact that, you know, somewhere still in my mind, I'm the slightly overweight, unfit, lazy person who I definitely was for a lot of my formative years. And this is another reason why, just as a rule, I find myself in New Zealand, and I absolutely don't want to go anywhere else, because it has made, and people can say, you know, oh, you still could be the same person. You had all these opportunities for you in the UK, and I could have found this new version of myself there. But the reality is, in changing my environment, it's brought these qualities out in me that wants to go out and do these things, and wants to be fit and active. And now my go-to on a bad day is to hop on the bike and pedal up the hill. And even if it's for 5 minutes and I don't go anywhere near a trail, that's my go-to, not, you know, a glass or 5 of wine. Don't get me wrong, that's always got its place, always got its place.
I love the balance.
Yeah, I mean, you know, or pedaling with a bottle in hand, I don't know. No. So that's really important. And so probably the main reason that I go back, and I think is part of the reason that I wanted to create a business within the mountain biking space and community, is mental health, if I'm honest. Because people who I spoke to and, you know, got to know initially around mountain biking, everybody, obviously it's exercise and it's a great sport, but I don't think that there's enough of a conversation, although it's starting to happen, around how amazing it is for your mental health. And it isn't just the fact, and again, I've tried to explain this to other people that I know, it's not just the fact that people say, oh yeah, but all exercise is good for mental health. Everybody knows that. Some people do. But it's the fact that you are not staying in your head if you are throwing yourself down a mountain bike trail that involves some rocks. Or even if it doesn't involve some rocks, you know what I mean? If you're in your head, you're going to get hurt, like a lot. It's impossible. I mean, and there are other sports like that, but you know, if you've got something on your mind and you go out for a run, you're probably just going to keep going over that in your head, unless you happen to be running down a rocky trail, obviously. But I find that really important, that it does get you out of your head, the community aspect to it as well. Even if you go out for a ride on your own, you're likely to come across other people. And I actually remember it really well. It was my birthday, so almost a year ago, probably to the day, that I went out for a ride on my own because I had the day off work. And for some reason, like, I just wasn't having it. I was going uphill. I was going along a track called the Traverse, which, you know, it's all right. It's a bit of an up, and as it says, a traverse. And at one point, some frustrations got to me, and I ended up sitting on the side of the track. And I had a bloody good cry, if I'm honest, looking over Christchurch, having a bit of a sob. And I sort of just eventually got myself together, and I'm looking at the view, and 5 minutes later, just some guy, you know, a 50-year-old guy comes along cycling and just stops and has a bit of a yarn with me, and, you know, how you doing today, blah blah blah, blah, and you know, cycled off. And I just thought, you know, that's all I needed. That's just that little bit of connection and community. And I bloody love biking. And I got back on my bike and I pedaled off, and I was happy as Larry. And that's what it's about.
It's so funny how a ride can just really hit reset so easily, like, in so many ways. You know, I love the fact that you talk about, like, when you're out on a trail, you can't be in your head because there's so much that you need to focus on. It's like the only place you can be is really present. Like, you know, you're not just thinking gears, brakes, slowing down, taking a corner, what line am I going? Okay, I've got to get over that tree root. Like that stuff's all happening. So you can't be going, oh, does my ass look fat in my pants? Oh, did I finish that list off? Oh, did I not do that thing again? And there's just like no way to be in your head going over the stuff that doesn't serve you. And the only place you can be is really super present. And that's like probably one of the things that I freaking love about mountain biking that I can't get from anything else. Like I do a bit of trail running and hiking, but it's so slow paced because I'm not a fast runner, that it's like I can still be up in my head. But when I'm riding and I get flow on a bike, there's no place like that feels more glorious in that moment than when you're riding down a trail and everything is just coming together and the only thing you're just seeing is lines, all the right lines, and you get to the bottom and high five someone. Like for me, I know that is the obsession or the addiction for riding for me, that it's like, and then you just come away fresh, like your brain feels clear because you haven't been up in it and that sort of stuff. So like for me, like you saying that stuff, I'm like, oh, that like I can feel being on a trail and being in that moment, and it makes me go, right, are we done? Should we go ride bikes?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, being able to find that flow or find that flow state is quite novel to me. I know I'm the type of person who needs to sit down and slow down, as my parents would tell me over and over and over and over again my entire life. I'm always rushing around and I'm always doing something, and I know I should sit and meditate and that would be great, but I just can't do it. But to be able to somehow find space in my mind whilst doing something like biking is great. And you know, I was actually just saying to someone this morning, even like you can always go on the bike, you may not always come away feeling elevated, you know, if something's really going on but I tell you what, rarely does it make you feel worse. Rarely does it make you feel worse.
Yes, I love that distinction. That's such a nice distinction. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I also really loved about what you talked about is like how a new environment can give you, I want to say, let's say permission maybe to change a little bit of who you are. You know, you said, sure, the opportunities, because like you said, all these opportunities are available at any time. I've moved from Auckland to Christchurch. I'm currently in Auckland doing this filming with you now, doing this interview. I'm about to hire I've got a camper van I'm picking up tomorrow, and I'm packing the last of my stuff up and officially moving to Christchurch. And the move to Christchurch has created this space of permission to change, not change because it's already who I am, but to express or explore new parts of me that I felt like I couldn't do in Auckland. So how's that been for you? Like going from, because I'd love to talk more about that, like, you know, moving from the UK and being this version of you to coming to New Zealand and going, oh, I don't have to be that version of me. And then, of course, you know, that's all unfolded through the world of mountain biking. I'd love to know more about that stuff.
Yeah, so I suppose I had a bit of a practice run a couple of years ago because despite being sort of mad keen and adventuring and getting out there, where I sort of started my my adventuring, I suppose, really reasonably late in life. I left the UK for my big, what you guys call OE, although it turned into a couple of years of it when I was just turned 26, and I did a couple of years in a bit of a sort of Australia-Asia sandwich. I went to Southeast Asia, I did, you know, a lot of the backpacking routes, 15 months in Australia, went back, did a bit more of Asia, and I'd actually always intended to come to New Zealand after that, but for one thing and another, I ended up back in the UK for a bit. Now, when I went off at age 26 and did that whole thing that a lot of us do in our 20s, I'm going to find myself and I'm going to change all this about my life and it's going to be marvelous, and I, you know, like, watch out, this will be a different person that returns. And you know what, I got that handed to me, because guess what, Laura Hoof came back to the UK 2 years later. You know, I'd had some amazing experiences and I definitely had taken a lot of positives from it, But one thing that I realized is, you know what, if you've got a few problems, or you've got a few things that are up here, or that you don't like about your life, or habits or whatever, running away from them around the world for a year or two, they're still there when you come back. And that was a massive, like, bugger, that didn't work kind of moment for me. And so I did stay in the UK for one reason or another for 12 months before I came to New Zealand. But after sort of, there'd been a bit of a period of like settling down, I split up with another boyfriend, just needed to get everything sort of on an even keel. But after 12 months, I was like, I still want to go to New Zealand. I still really feel that would be a positive move for me. And the difference is this time and coming here, and what's given me the opportunity to grow into this person that I am now, is that I think that realization that if you want to change yourself or your life, you have to be the driving force behind that. And I mentioned before, you know, personal growth. I'm really, really big on that, and sort of inside out is the way to go. There's all sorts of amazing stuff going on. And yes, you know, external factors come into play in people's lives every day. And there are a myriad of things that are out of our control. But that's the thing. There's a lot inside that you can control. And so I sort of set off on a journey, not immediately, but I really have always had a sort of grand plan, or I guess like my visions for where I want my life to go and what I want to achieve have just got stronger. And I suppose with that, and with the work and the desire to work on myself and to sort of lean into these spaces, and you know what, sometimes lean into the pain. Like, growth is not an easy thing. Personal, entrepreneurial, mountain biking, like whatever it is, it fucking hurts sometimes. And but it's worth it. And so that, I think that's probably the difference, is that you can't get the change without the work.
Yeah. Preach, sister, preach. It's so interesting, because the parallel that I totally just drew from that is it is to do with mountain biking, that you know, when it comes to that wanting to create change in our life, that, you know, that it is an internal change. So it's like, what are you sure you can change your environment, that might give you more space and opportunity and a freshness, but like you say, it's an internal change. And it's like I think when we are going through change or wanting to create new stuff, that we get to a point where it's like we lean against something and we go, oh, it feels really fucking uncomfortable, and I don't want to look at those parts of me, so maybe I'll just blame all that other stuff, and then I'll just go back to my little comfort zone over here. And it's like, it's so easy to say those phrases, you know, life begins at the edge of your comfort zone, or push through it, it'll be amazing. But the reality is when you're growing, whether that's like personally with that, or like even wanting to stretch yourself in something like mountain biking, it gets scary as fuck, man. I remember a time I was at Woodhill, and this is back when I used to do jumps and structures and stuff like that. So I'm a little bit more reserved these days. And we used to have Step Up Sunday. So there was a group of us girls, we would go out, and we were all kind of at that same level of jumping, but we all had like a thing that we'd be better at. Like, one of the girls was better at gap jumps, I was a little bit better at riding the structures, and so it was really good, because we were all and I felt like if someone kind of had the confidence to do something, we would all be like, oh fuck, we have to do it now. But I remember this one time, there was this thing called it's Big Mama Double up at Woodhill. It doesn't exist anymore. It's a 5-meter gap jump, and all us girls had been eyeing it up for so long. And I remember the day that I went to go and do it, because like I had ridden past it so many times, and I looked at it, and my mates that rode with me that knew my skill were like, you can do this. This is like in your range. But I'd ride past, I can feel myself going back into it right now. And I'd ride past it, and I'd be like, oh fuck, that was so amazing to finally nail that. And I remember the time that I was there, I was with my mate Chris, and you know, I'd ridden up the ramp a couple of times and just chickened out. And then it was like I was there and I was just talking to him, because, you know, you just feel pressured, like with any sort of growth, there's that, like, what if I fail? What if I don't do this thing? Who am I? Am I sure I can do it? And that's not just jumps, that's like shit that you're changing in your life, right? And I remember him going, you've totally got this, just follow me over it. And I just burst into tears, and I was like, oh, and then I'm like, I'm such a dick because I'm crying. And let all the tears out, told him what I was really worried about. And he's like, do you feel better now? I was like, yeah. And he's like, let's go do this. And we sat at the top, and he was like, breathe. And I was like, whew. He's like, just follow me. You've got this. Followed him over, cleared the jump, landed, went all the way to the bottom, was adrenaline pumping, high-fiving the shit, burst into tears again, because I'd ridden past that structure probably for 6 months, wanting to do it and not having that, like, not being able to find that courage within myself to do it, and then finally doing it and realizing just how possible it was. And I was just like, it was like, I can still feel it today, like today, reliving it. Like, it was probably the like biggest rush I've ever had with mountain biking, is getting my wheels off the ground that much and just finally doing something. So
yeah, absolutely. You've got my heart going a little bit. I'm like thinking about some of the things. I've definitely not done any 5-meter gap jumps, but I you know,
I'd shit my pants if I was to try it again right now. So,
but I do love getting a bit of airtime on the bike, and I think it sort of comes from, definitely people have said to me, like, you know, oh, maybe you should be a bit careful, because that bucket switch that I spoke about, like, some days I'm just like, let's go, and then maybe with a little, not as much caution as I should have. But I used to ride horses a bit when I was younger, and jumping was always my thing. Like, I love jumping horses, and bit of an odd comparison, but again, like, you know, that motion of being off the air, like, or in the air, I know what that feels like, and yeah, it's great fun. And yeah, there has been a reasonably big drop that I've been working on a skills clinic towards the end of last season, and the feeling of doing it again in that community environment. It was a group of just girls as well, which was fantastic. Like, I cannot credit the instructor that day or the coach that day, and you know, our local you'll probably know Gravity Canterbury for doing that. Like, it is amazing when we get a group of girls together who actually, like I said, in that right environment, nurture each other and push each other in just the right amount with full support, and amazing things can happen. It's great.
That's so perfect, because let's take that into real life, like off the trails and into life. Like, how important do you think those things are in our everyday life to help us move forward in, you know, let's say creating a life that matters to us? Because everybody has a different version of what's important to them. Like, I always say, do the things that matter with the people that do the things that matter to you with the people that matter to you, because everybody has a different version of life. And I think we have to remember that when we go, this is the kind of life that I want to create, that again, that comes from the inside out, not, oh, look at all these people, they have amazing lives because they're doing those things. It's like, but does that shit matter to you or not? And then go, okay, I want to, you know, I just want to have more fun and adventure in life, or I just want to have a better relationship with myself. So if we take that to what you just talked about, like progressing through the skills clinic, and you've got all these supportive women around you, like, how do you think that's important in real everyday life and growing ourselves?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something that I was thinking about recently. We, like you just said, we all have a different vision of what we want for our lives, and we have been so, this is only something that, and I can speak sort of freely and slightly sometimes blasé about it, as if like, oh, it's so easy, you just do this and that. And this is the problem, because when people have taken steps to grow, often people who find themselves sort of earlier on in that path or earlier on in that journey, like I remember when I was there and I'm like, no frigging way can I do this and this, or what we don't realize, I think, a lot of the time, is that we have been so conditioned, and it's completely unconscious to us, you know, from day dot, about what society expects or what our parents expect, or and our parents expect things because their grandparents, or our grandparents, their parents expected things, and we actually can just, I certainly found myself, this is my personal experience, and it might not be the same for everybody else, but I've found myself even just a couple of years ago sat there going, shit, I don't know what I want. What do I want? Because we lose touch with that sometimes, and I think it really pays to take the time, however you need to do it, whether it is changing your environment, whether it's just booking a week's holiday on your own, or whether it is a continuous process of months and weeks and sometimes years, to just be aware of the fact that you know, you may not know what you want, and to take some time to really get to know yourself, because I think I personally have spent, you know, many years sort of trying to fit in when I was younger. Certainly that got me into some trouble and led me down. You know, one of the things that I've sort of thought about in preparation for this interview was, you know, if I was chatting to a younger version of myself, one of the biggest bits of advice would just be like, don't get dragged into other people's adventures. Like, work out like what's your adventure, because at the end of the day, it's your life, and we only get one. I mean, that's open to interpretation, but let's say for now we're in this meat suit and we're getting one. And so, you know what, the only person you've got to please is yourself. And you know, that doesn't mean there are days when trying to remember that and stay in touch with that is hard. It really, really is. But you're the only person who you've got to answer to, and that's kind of the fun bit now, because it's like, well, hell, what do I want, and how can I go about getting that? And so one of the most important things, which you just touched on, for anybody out there who's thinking, okay, right, well, maybe I've got an idea of what I want, but I can't do it, or I'm scared. Like, fear is a massive thing. Like, fear drives pretty much everything, I find. If you look at emotions, or if you look at your sort of response to actions, if you really dig deep, like down, and you allow yourself to be perfectly honest, often it's fear of failure, and sometimes weirdly fear of success as well. That's an odd one, you know. Like, success can bring with it a load of changes which you might subconsciously not be thinking you're ready for, and you're having to leave behind some of the people or situations in the past which did or didn't serve you, and to allow you to grow can be tricky. But tribe, find your tribe, because if there is something that you want to achieve or do, and it can be anything, I'm not whether you want to go on a walk, whether you want to ride a mountain bike, whether you want to start a business, whether you want to completely change, you know, pretty much anything you want to do in your life, there are people out there who, firstly, are in your position, secondly, have been in your position, and thirdly, are where you want to be. Okay, there are people out there. You are not the, we all like to think that we might be the unique one, but you are not the unique one, unfortunately. You know, there are a hell of a lot of people in this world. If I was clever, I'd have, you know, I know how many billion people there are in the world, but I don't. There's a lot. And the chances are there's a fair few who think a little bit like you do as well, and that you can learn from and identify with. And that's where that's the thing that I found most transformational recently, is seeking out the people who inspire me. Some whom are like me, the girl next door, you know, who, you know, just pretty normal life to this date, give or take. And then there are some people that I look at, you know, people's podcasts who I listen to it, and I'm like, wow, you know, I really, really look up to them. But that keeps me going, because we're all people. We're all sort of born the same and probably going to die reasonably the same. So that's really important, you know, find your tribe, and that can help you grow in unmeasurable amounts and give you that community, and maybe just help you take that tiny little first step. Little steps, baby steps.
I think that's one of the beautiful things about being a woman, is that you know, the reason that Adventure Girls started was because it was about building a sisterhood of women who want to go and do stuff. And I often got asked, why are there no guys on it? It's like, well, we're not men haters. We love men, you know, they're awesome. It's that when you throw a man into the mix of a group, and this isn't always every time, but it is often you throw a man into the mix of a group of women and they just naturally want to lead and be the, you know, person who shows you how to do everything. And it shifts the dynamics of how women see themselves in the group. You know, by nature, we're generally nurturers, women. So when we come together often, and like there's alpha women and all that sort of stuff, and there are different dynamics and personalities that always come to play, but as a whole, as a general, I think when women come together, it's about supporting, encouraging, having conversations, and like you say, that touch of like, you can do this and we've got you. There's just that more support network in space. So when you talk about finding your tribe and things like that, like whether that's on trails, like riding bikes to help you progress and, you know, grow through the trails, or whether that's off the trails and in your life, like you couldn't have said anything better. That it's just so amazing to have that sisterhood in life, biz, or on the trails. So 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah, definitely.
So what would be two really great pieces of advice then for women who want to get out and adventure a little bit more and have that more in their life?
So, I mean, I suppose it sounds a bit cliche and a bit obvious, but at the end of the day, you've got to take that first step. You know, you've got to actually get out there and do it. And do you know what? Sometimes, like if we're going back to real basics, sometimes that first step might just be doing a bit of research. Okay, like that's good enough to start with. Okay, you don't suddenly have to go out and be like, right, I'm gonna, you know, climb Mount Cook or whatever in over here. Well, you can, don't like, but please do it safely. But
full disclaimer, please do it safely.
Full disclaimer. Take the necessary precautions. But yeah, sometimes things can seem daunting, but essentially get out there and do it. And if you need help in doing that, then absolutely, and oftentimes as well, you absolutely should get help in doing that. Do not go and try rock climbing if you don't know how to tie yourself onto a harness. That's not a good idea. Common sense. And I suppose, yeah, just, you know what, find something that you really enjoy. Don't do things because you think you should do it. And I think that's a really big thing. You know, I actually, turns out my, you know, ex-boyfriend knew me pretty well. Like I resisted mountain biking for so long, and look at it, I was like, no, I'm going to choose when I want to do this. I will decide. Should have listened earlier. But at the same time, you know, you have to want to do something, and it makes it all the more fun when you do. And it doesn't matter what it is, you know what I mean? Like if you thought, I've always fancied fencing, go give it a go. Somebody will show you, somebody will teach you. The best thing that you can be if you want to get out there and adventure, whatever that means to you, is curious. Be curious and don't be afraid to ask questions, because people who enjoy something, a sport or a skill, they want you to enjoy it too, and they are so happy to share and teach things to you. I think we all get it sometimes in that headspace of, oh, it's a stupid question, or I don't know if I can act. Like, it's never that way. So yeah, be curious.
That's such a nice, yeah, I love it, because that's beautiful, because I used to I always use the term be open to exploring, because it's that same principle of just being open to do that. So it's like and being curious, I think you allow yourself to play a little bit more when the challenges and stuff like that come up, because you know, they're like, who would have thought that you getting out and doing that mountain biking was going to lead to then you going, hey, there's a need in the market for women to have cool mountain bike gear, and hey, if there's no one else doing it, I'm going to fucking go out and do it. And then that's led to you then launching Fierce MTB for the women's stuff. And it's like, you know, that there's that being curious and being open to exploring, and all these things have now come out of it. And, you know, you guys are playing with some really cool stuff. And I'm sure you've had a number of challenges because your business is new, like you're in the launch phase, which is fucking exciting and scary, and it's like doing that 5-meter freaking gap jump all over again, you know, like,
Oh God,
so
yeah.
you must have to apply that curiosity to starting up your business and stuff like that. So you want to tell us a little bit more about, in that space, how you use curiosity around your business for your one bike gear?
Absolutely. Curiosity, or just blind charging into things, bull in a china shop, as my mum would say. Problem solving is the one thing that springs to mind. I mean, really, like, I suppose that's what, when you strip it back a little bit, I suppose that's what being involved in a startup, or, you know, any kind of entrepreneurial space, like, you're problem solving. Because initially it started off with to be honest, what started it off was I went for a walk. It was just over a year ago now. Things have been sort of chugging along with Fierce, but over a year ago, I went walking around Queenstown. I just got the urge to spend some money. I was like, I'm going to go and buy a new mountain bike jersey. Yes, definitely. Queenstown, where better place? There's like 5-6 bike shops, at least that I could think of where I could go. I went into every single one, and I didn't find anything that like ticked the boxes. I was like, where's the bright stuff? Like, where's the, I was like, no. And I thought, like, got to be able to do a bit better than this. And I went searching, and especially just in New Zealand, I think sort of smaller market, a lot of the stuff comes in, if it does at all, internationally, and then we get all the problems of international postage, and you know, so it started off to solve a problem as, don't find anything, like it often does, you know, with businesses. Hang on, I need something for myself, I'm going to give it a go. And that's where sort of the idea for Fierce really started. And I soon realized that if I didn't have a little bit of support, we wouldn't be going very far. So I teamed up with another local rider called Audrey, who is really good in the sort of graphic design and business space. And yeah, Fierce was born. And it has been, as I said, it's been a year since I started playing with the ideas in my mind. And it's been, so I brought Audrey on board in sort of January, this year. So, you know, we've had a good 9 months of sort of chugging things out together. And it's just this cycle of, we think we're getting somewhere, and oh no, here's a problem. And we think we're going, and so it would be amazing if things had happened quicker, but I'm a big believer in the fact that, you know, things happen as and when they should. Most recently, so we're still kind of we're getting closer. We're definitely getting closer, but we've had
so excited. I legitimately cannot wait to see what you have coming out.
Yeah,
and for all you ladies watching this, if you're mountain bikers, I was saying you absolutely must let us know when you've got some you know, sample design images, and I will share them out, because bring on cool stuff.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we're so hopefully this week we're actually, well, it was supposed to be a couple of weeks ago, but hopefully we're actually going to end up with some samples made. We've got our fabric designers, so we didn't just obviously want to do more of what's already out there, because there is actually some, you know, good stuff for women out there, and it is growing all the time, and there are some newer companies springing up. But, you know, we wanted to be a bit different. Sustainability is really important to us, natural fibers is important to us, and also, you know, just fun, bold, bright designs. And we've got so many ideas, and it's actually trying to struggle to keep up and prioritize what's important. There have been some challenges, let's say, with printing and finding out that things don't hold color, and all these joys. But we're working on it, girls, and we will get there, and we will have some rad shit for you to be wearing on the trails very soon, and I will absolutely share that with you. It will be amazing. So that's kind of been the journey to date, and hopefully, I mean, when I actually think about where I've come in sort of essentially 9 months from concept to hello, we're about to get gear done, that's pretty good progression. Especially, you know, both Audrey and I are full-time. You know, I work a day job, she works a day job. This isn't like we've just sort of both gone, great, we'll plow into this. It's been, you know, evenings, weekends, sporadic bits and pieces here and there, and it's been a real journey. It's been great fun so far. Probably the best adventure.
They always say, like, if you want to go on a big discovery to understand, like, the depths of who you are and all of that sort of stuff, like get in a relationship or start a business. Like those two things will challenge you to grow. Like there are so many opportunities to learn about or go on like a big overseas, but just a big adventure where you have to really rely on yourself and find that, because like you will be challenged along the way to like go, like you say, there's so much problem solving, and it's like it's so easy to give up and just go, oh, it's just all too hard, like fuck this, I'm out of here. And it's like, or you can go, what's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step? So yeah, I think that's where that whole leaning into stuff becomes like words or practice. Lean into the edge of your comfort zone. I am leaning and it sucks balls. So
it hurts. Yeah, it was a very conscious decision to start Fierce and start to put one foot in front of the other, because there have been many ideas in the last 10 years of things I want to do, and this is something that I could really get behind and really is exactly, as I said, things always happen at the right time for the right reason, and I'm fully embracing that and loving the journey that it's taking me on. Yeah, even on the days.
Yeah.
There are plenty.
It's so cool. There's so much that translates from, the mountain bike trails to life, to work, and then all the way back again to taking what you learn in life and then applying that to the trails in terms of progression, tribe, challenging yourself, being present, just all those things. It's so nice to hear throughout this conversation with you just how that all flows so nicely from trails, business, life, business, trails, and that sort of stuff. So it's been a freaking exciting conversation. This is and it's everything that I want to talk about with ladies, from like the challenging stuff that comes up with growing and starting a business, the challenging stuff that comes with wanting to expand and maybe pivot what you're doing in life and things like that, and just how that is to riding mountain bike trails and finding awesome women and that sort of stuff. So if you were going to recommend 3 awesome places to ride in New Zealand that you've ridden, or your most favorite places that you've ridden, what would they be? Like if someone said, hey, Laura, I want to go do some riding, what would you say?
Don't start on the Flying Nun.
Oh my God, ain't that the truth?
Ain't that the truth? Yeah. So I mean,
even if it's just a track versus a trail.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, given, and I make no bones about the fact that I've run headfirst into this, I'm no sort of double black diamond rider at the moment, but some of my favorite trails are, don't get me wrong, Christchurch trails I absolutely love. There's so much sort of variety, and Vic Park never ever fails to provide a good ride and a challenging one in some ways. Probably one of my favorite tracks to have fun on is one that's in Queenstown Bike Park called The Original. I don't know if you've ridden it. It's sort of amazing trail. It's just so much fun. Like when you know what's coming. It was the first time I went down. It was an experience. But yeah, and just that into, like, I love. Sometimes it's nice to be able to. So, for anyone who's not a mountain biker, you have a difference between sort of technical trails and then flow trails, and I love both, and I really love the sort of the problem solving and the fast thinking that you have to have with technical trails. But with a flow trail, I feel that I could just relax into it and have fun, and especially if there's some airtime involved. So The Original has to be one of my absolute favorites in there. And yeah, I actually have yet to do, so something that's on my list for the coming year is to get out and cycle maybe one of the Great Walks. We've got the new Papamoa Trail, and also the Heafy keeps getting recommended to me and mentioned to me, and nowadays I prefer to bike than use my legs. So yeah, that will be the next on the bucket list, so to speak, for doing something slightly longer. and of course the old Ghost Road. That's needs to happen.
Yes. That one is glorious. I will not disappoint.
I've seen
a beautiful
the
trail.
Yeah, well, maybe I would have had the opportunity a couple of years ago, but I was going back to the UK when a group of people I knew were doing it. So yeah, my time is yet to come. But no.
I think that there could be a space for a bunch of women to go and do that ride. I reckon everybody I talk to, I've done it before and it's freaking amazing, and I would go and ride that trail again. But I think if someone went, hey, let's go ride the old Ghost Road, I reckon it could wrangle up a few
I
super
already
keen
know some
women.
people. Yeah. Let's make that happen.
Put a date down, go ride it, and just book the huts and bugger off and go do it.
Yes.
So what's your one message then, but just before we wrap up, what's your one message for women who want to have more fun and adventure in their lives, but they're afraid of maybe taking that step to go and do that?
Join Adventure Girls. Find your tribe, eh? We're all out here at the end of the day that I think there's nothing to be scared of, actually. I mean, if it is a fear thing that's holding you back, everybody out there, certainly that I know of, everybody wants you to succeed. There's not people in this space or the adventure space are not women. You know, there are women who exist who see life as a competition as opposed to sort of a collaboration, and I think that's really sad, actually. And I've certainly had people like that in my life in the past, and it sucks. But the people who are here and who you know, people like you and I and so many others that I know in the Adventure Girls community just want the best for their peers. And there's so much awesome out there in life that it would be such a shame to sit at home and miss it, you know?
Aren't you just speaking the truth today, girl? Oh my God, it has been a total pleasure. Thank you so much. It's been a total pleasure having some really juicy conversation, and I really love that you didn't shy away from any of the conversations about, you know, personal growth and self-development and all of that sort of stuff, because it's all woven so much into our lives and it's such an adventure to be doing that stuff. And I think if you're wanting to create change personally in your life, if you can look at it, like you say, with curiosity, and like I say, with the eyes of exploration, it's like, it just allows for it to be a little bit more fun and that sort of stuff, and you don't have to take life so seriously. So so if people want to come and check out some of your cool kit that's going to be coming up, best that they can get a hold of you, because I know you've got some a little giveaway at the moment. Just saying.
Yeah.
Take your little giveaway.
Shameless plug there. So
Never a shameless plug.
If anybody does want to find out more about what we're doing, as I say, launch is upcoming. I would absolutely love it if you came and found us. So you can do that by finding us on Facebook and Instagram. It's at Fierce MTB. And also our website, www.fiercemtb.com. Stick your details in there. Yes, sign up to our mailing list, and we will tell you when the launch is. But more importantly, you're going to go into a draw to win one of our very first off the print jerseys. And also, we're actually going to be starting to put a few more things up soon on Instagram, like asking your opinion on what print you like, what color swatch you like. We have an idea, we did a survey, we've got some feedback, but I actually want to make stuff for you, the women who are going to use it and wear it. And it would be awesome if you came along and joined our community so that you actually get to input and help with the creation of something awesome.
Oh, how exciting, ladies. So you get to be a part of the startup, and you can join the conversation with Laura over there. I would love it. Absolutely go check it out, because I just went back because they just updated their website. And the first thing I was picturing, and I was like, oh my gosh, these are my people. So I'm excited, because anyone who is, launching a brand new business and who's doing it in the women's adventure space, like that just fills my happy tank up, and it just lights me up. So I'm super excited. I can't wait to support the shit out of you with what you guys are doing, because I think we just need more women like you who are doing cool stuff in the adventure space. And obviously anybody who you talk with, not just about business and that sort of stuff, they're going to come away, feeling like they had a really good, juicy conversation with you, because it's not so much just about the surface level fun. Like, that's one level, but there's so much more that's to you about the conversations that you have. So thank you so much.
Thanks. I've really enjoyed it. If anyone feel free, if anyone wants to chat more, reach out through Instagram or Facebook, or just find me, directly message me. My name's Laura Milross, and you can email me, laura@fiercemtb.com. Sweet.
Awesome. All right, ladies, well, here's to getting more women out doing cool shit. Yeah.
Woohoo, amen to that.
All right, cheers, love. Bye.
Bye.